indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Welcome, everyone. We'll slide in. We'll get going. And I'm not looking at a sign-up sheet but I'm sure someone must have signed up, and whoever signed up first, go ahead.
That's me. My name is Pat Eric, and thank you for the opportunity to address you regarding New Root's Charter School. ICSD students make up the largest population at New Roots. This year, enrollment from ICSD is 72 students, approximately the same as last year. This means that ICSD will be transferring up to $1 million in tuition and services to New Roots this year. There are only 5 ICSD freshmen in that total number, but other grades show an increase over last year. There are 2 reports for your review, copies of which I think have been handed out. The June 2011 Regents Report compares New Roots' performance to that of all schools in the county, with focus on Ithaca High School. The second is a performance report based on Regents exam results from New Roots for June 2012. Both documents are based on information provided by New Roots via FOIL and have been carefully vetted for accuracy. While the population of New Roots grew between 2011 and 2012, a large number of that population did not take Regents exams in June 2012. Those who took exams show a high failure rate, higher than last year and likely far higher than Ithaca and surrounding districts, once NICE had releases all Regents scores this spring. The Regents exam scores of NRCS for June 2012 show an aggregate failure rate of 35%. This compares to a typical aggregate failure rate in Tompkins County of 17%. Ithaca High School enjoys an even lower failure rate than most of the surrounding districts. What is also significant about this year's numbers is that many New Roots students took no Regents exam in either math or science. When the school enrolled only 9th and 10th graders in June 2010, all students took at least 1 math and 1 science exam. In both 2011 and 2012, an average of only 60% of students took any Regents math exam, and only 28% took any Regents science exam. Even with a limited number of students taking this exam, failure rate in math and science habitually hovers around 40%. New Roots is not even close to meeting its academic benchmarks for renewal of charter. And yet there's a proposal before Ithaca Urban Renewal Agency to renovate the Masonic Temple, where an expanded New Roots will serve as an anchor tenant with 7,500 square feet of that space. We know from the data that students have a much higher success rate in their home districts, especially in ICSD. With our new initiatives and improved success rate, we should do everything in our power to bring all of our students back to Ithaca High School and our own very successful alternative school, LICS. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Pat was the only one signed up. Anyone else wish to speak? And if not, I'm going to go ahead and follow our own agenda and actually go back. And I appreciate, thank you, Pat. And go back and just check, and any modifications to the agenda. There were multiple changes on some finance committee
today.
Right.
So their Dropbox earlier today, an updated version. I don't know, do the gold ones, do they reflect the updates?
No.
They do not.
The ones that are in Dropbox are the most recent. The gold ones were put out Friday.
So those do not reflect the consent agenda correctly. So board members, you may want to follow along on the agenda in Dropbox.
Okay, but
when we get to the consent.
Right, but we don't need to modify this because it's an aged agenda.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have all the changes in my head to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go with the agenda that is updated in the Dropbox.
All right.
And if there's no other changes, correct? Now we'll move on. Thanks for your patience. And on to student reps. And if you got it, Michaela.
I'm Michaela Brew, and currently at IHS we're in our 3rd week of school, and school's in full swing, and it's gone very smoothly so far. All the grades in both physical education and English have to take a baseline exam to chart growth over the school year. And also the consensus of many students about the new rules implemented in the school is that a lot of students don't know what's going on, what the rules are, or why they are implemented. So I think it's important that that be exposed to the students. For example, students are no longer allowed to go to their lockers during lunch. And although Mr. Powers did discuss this a couple board meetings ago, it has not been released to the student population of the answers for these, or the explanations for these rules. And also the tables in our quad still haven't been returned, and it's kind of a bummer because it would have been nice to sit out there when it was still nice. I saw someone mowing the lawn this afternoon, and I'm not sure if that's preceding the tables going back in, but just wanted to make that clear.
Go ahead.
There's been some confusion for students about the use of the new athletic facility during free periods and lunch. A number of students have multiple free periods, and it's a great way to use the facilities for pre-season. Winter sports are coming up in a couple of weeks, and so I know there was talk about having someone station it permanently from Cleveland Medical Center. So I was wondering what the status of that was.
Well, I think we'll address that in a few minutes. Anything else from the guy? Go ahead.
My name's Michael. I haven't yet been given a name tag, but my name's Michael Hall.
You will get one.
Okay, that's lovely. One thing in particular that strikes me, and it just made me think of it because Michaela mentioned mowing lawns. The grass is mowed during class, which for teachers with open windows during the summer is a real problem. You know, teachers have to shout over machinery, which might not seem like a huge deal just in the whole scheme of things. But you know, when there's already a whole bunch of distractions happening during the classroom, something else like a mowing lawn, having your teacher have to shout over that is just another distraction that students don't want to deal with. So I would say, in the same vein of students not being in the hallways because that disturbs class when they're talking, certainly having a really loud machine, you know, going outside of the classroom is a huge disturbance.
Thanks. And we'll get back to you in a minute or two, I think, with hopefully some answers. And LACS.
So I'm Ned Lava. This is LACS, also LACS's third week of school. And 2 weeks ago we had our first site-based council meeting. And we're still working on our site-based council. There weren't very many people in attendance, although we're hoping to increase the attendance, and we're hoping especially to get a lot of students to come to it. But in site-based council, we're continuing to work on our school development plan, and our goal is to make the plan easily accessible so that anyone in the school can look at it and understand it and doesn't have to spend too much time on that. And also, last night we had our annual open house where parents were able to come and go through the students' schedules and meet their students' teachers, and that was really nice for parents to be able to meet the teachers. And then also, our Welcoming Allies and Mentors program has been continuing to work with new students. Last week we had an ice cream social for new students, and our WAM program actually is going to be featured in an upcoming magazine by the New York State Union of Teachers.
Next week we will have our annual fall retreat on the 3rd and 4th. For those who don't know, it is basically 2 days of going out to Arnott Forest and having a lot of bonding time with new students over outdoor and nature activities and games. And the high schoolers are given the opportunity to sleep over in cabins, while the middle schoolers are bused back and forth. Let's see. And our principal, Joe, has been in continued contact with busing supervisors about any ways we can improve our bus system to help get students where they need to go. Yep.
Very good. Thanks. Board responses. Dr. Brown, did you want to?
I'll look into it. Mr. Powell may want to shed some light on this, but the issue around coverage, I was under the impression that we are providing that kind of coverage.
That's what I thought.
Through Cayuga Medical or with existing staff. So, Mr. Powers, you wish to add anything there? So I would double check on that tomorrow, but there should be coverage, and, I mean, space is utilized all day, and in the mornings and at night, so for there not to be coverage there would be surprising to me, because whenever I'm walking by, there's someone there, so we'll address this again tomorrow.
Are kids not allowed in, or is there, there's, the room is basically open and used all day long, is it not, or?
You're allowed to use it if you're in a gym class, but there's just a lot of students aren't aware if you're able to go in if you have free periods.
There isn't a high school person, staff member assigned during the day just for floaters. If you have a PE class and your PE teacher is there, your PE class goes into the...
Right, so it's not one of your spaces for folks to go if they have a free period. Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't, so yeah. So is that what you're asking, if it's a place for folks to go if they have a free period?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's probably not gonna happen, if that's probably, well, there's a maximum occupancy anyway, so we probably can't have everyone flow into a space that I know everyone wanna flow to if they have the free time. So the coverage is there, it's just not open for everyone to go into the fitness center, is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. All right. We'll work on it. Regarding rules at Ithaca High School, I'm not sure I can speak to that, but I'm sure we'll work with the high school leadership team and get those rules out there. Mr. Powers, correct? And
You saw the halls.
I did a tour last week of Ithaca High School, and I understand certainly why kids on their lunch period or periods are not allowed to go to the lockers. But I think the more the rules are repeated and publicized, the more they're known by everyone. Mr. Powers is shaking his head, so I think we'll deal with that. We also, I was at the PTA meeting last week, and there was a question about signage for student drop-off. That's being addressed. There is a parent and student drop-off pickup at Ithaca High School. And, it is a part of the new construction. It is different, it is new. And that hopefully will be very clear shortly. But there is a separate, as with Boynton, as with DeWitt, as with every elementary school, there's a separate driveway for buses and a separate driveway for parent drop-off. And so we will work to make that very clear to the community. Where's the best place to safely drop off your child at Ithaca High School and pick them up? And that is a very wide sidewalk, really next to the new gym construction. And really room for about 30 cars to line up. You're not in the parking spaces, you're not walking in between cars. That's what that space is for. So we'll make that clear with the Ithaca High School folks. And talked to Paul Alexander at Finance Facilities Committee last night, and they are making signs, and we'll put up as many signs as possible to make sure that everyone knows where they should be dropping their children off and picking them up. Anything else? Brad, go ahead.
I appreciated the data on new routes. Interesting juxtaposition with the data we got in Ithaca High School 2 weeks ago, where the Regents exams passing rate went up substantially, and even better, those scoring 85 and higher went up substantially. Data completely opposite of what you're seeing at new routes. So I appreciate receiving that and seeing that we are doing well.
And we do, and Pat did provide data, so we'll have a chance to look at that.
Right.
So thank you, Pat.
Quick question.
Elder, go ahead.
I was trying to ask you, Pat, do you have this in color to send us? That was the question.
Oh, I don't. It was all produced in black and white so that it could be distributed by print.
Anyone else? We'll move on to the consent agenda. And
moves consent.
I'll second.
there's really a long list of consideration of counts. Go ahead,
I
Brad.
could speak to the consent, a number of things. You'll notice an anonymous donation of $20,000. You'll note some other donations, $300, $400. We appreciate all of those. Target stores, I'm not sure exactly what the program is, but I see there was 3 of our schools getting some supply money that way, so we appreciate getting those as well. There's a number of change orders, most of them are small. As we finish things out, we should know that the Finance Committee did go through all these and in fact rejected for yesterday. They'll ultimately come back, but we did go through everything pretty carefully on that. Is there anything else you need to have? I know there's a correction on a tax bill that's in there. Sounds like that finally got straightened out. And we have to agree to do a couple of things to make a change. It amounts to $200, so $10 or something, but you want it to be right in that case.
And Brad, just for
OCM. And a contract with OCM RIC, Regional Information Center. There's a contract approval in here for up to $650,000 having to do with data and our different machinery, software, and so forth. That's probably the biggest dollar item in there.
Right, and Brad, the item numbers, well, in mine it's 26, but the item before that, the resolution approved the final internal audit. That is actually an audit that is different than the audit that is in the business agenda. So that's,
right, that would be the Questar audit, the one that's in the consent agenda. Even though we call it an internal audit, we're required to hire an external firm. I haven't quite figured that out, but their report is in there and it's recommended for acceptance by the audit committee.
and we will touch base on the other
The
audit.
independent audit.
The independent audits under school district business. So, anyone have any questions? We're good? All in favor? That's everyone. So we're moving on, Dr. Brown, and Superintendent's report.
And I'll defer until later when I'm going to speak about the vision and mission at my time, if that's okay to say.
You just don't, that's fine, Dr. Brown. You can, we won't make you talk.
I'll share my announcement at that time.
Very good. So we'll move on to school district business, and not a huge item, but something that we do have to do every year if we are going to participate in the New York State School Boards Association annual business meeting, and that is designating a voting delegate. And who's going? When? Where?
In Rochester.
October 25th, 26th.
The voting meeting's on the Saturday, right?
27th.
I'm sorry.
Kira, isn't that right? The voting meeting's on the Saturday?
Yes, I believe so. So Dr. Brown, who's typically someone from the board does go. I think Dr. Brown and I went to Buffalo last year, and I did a tour of upstate New York agriculture for Dr. Brown last year, which is interesting because I'm looking at farm equipment right now, but we won't question Dr. Brown on that. So who's going this year, Dr. Brown?
Hopefully, Mr. Ainsley and Mr. Peacock will be accompanying me to Rochester. And we'll take a similar route.
I nominate Rob Ainsley and Seth Peacock to accompany Dr. Brown.
All those in favor?
Oh,
I think there's a couple of abstentions.
we reserved your spot.
I think that 2 minutes is over, so we're going to keep going. So I believe certainly...
I'm sorry, say that again, Kira. Speak up. Say that
We
again.
need just one person designated to cast the vote.
No, you're the president.
Don't I have enough responsibilities already? Okay, that's fine.
I nominate Rob
I don't
Ainsley to be our
Second.
delegate. I nominated Rob to be our delegate.
I second Brad.
I'm not sure I can take the responsibility, but it's okay. I'll survive.
This is board.
Yeah. All right, of course, now I can't...
I think we should call it, we never
I'm
voted.
sorry about the last one. I will get it. That's going to be important.
We never voted. We didn't vote.
We're going to vote, well, we voted on that other, we did a straw vote on the other But we're going to vote now. The motion was made, and I am abstaining. All in favor? That's everyone but Seth.
Do you not want Robbie vote?
Seth and everyone including Seth. And I am, I didn't leave the room because it's too far to walk, so I'm okay. All right? And it is actually pretty interesting to go to the School Boards Association annual meeting. It is where we got to listen to Commissioner King last year. It was actually illuminating, listening to the Commissioner of Education, also the chair of the Board of Regents talked to us about what they are expecting of public schools in New York State. So it is not unimportant to go and listen and provide face. So we appreciate Dr. Brown going, and many school superintendents go. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I actually brought glasses. So Dr. Brown, we're going to go on to item B, and that's the Board of Education Mission and Vision Policy and Priorities Approval. So
Yes, sir.
go ahead, Dr. Brown.
The policy approval is part of multiple items we hope to wrap into this conversation tonight. A synthesis of a lot of work and thinking that I wish to share with you. Some thinking that we've shared with staff as part of the convocation presentation or conversation we had a few weeks ago. We had all staff together and talked on the tour. And I appreciate you mentioning last year's conversation with the commissioner, where he asked us as school districts and organizations to think different and work differently. He didn't give us many examples of how to do that, but he challenged us last year to do just that. And hearing him yesterday, well, 2 days ago, Mr. Trumbull and I had a chance to be with him in Saratoga Springs, and he's continuing to ask school districts to think and operate differently to meet the challenges that are facing us. So we've been thinking, quite frankly, and we've been doing some things differently. And I'm hoping to talk with you some tonight. And as part of the policy review, we needed to look at our vision and mission, obviously. We also needed to look at our Board of Education priorities again, so those things were up for review. But I wish to put in front of you that my thinking has been challenged much over the past 6 or 7 months. And I'll go back to 2 conversations I had, one in Wegmans and one on the telephone, that pushed me to think differently about our vision, mission, and priorities. Because quite frankly, this is the last thing I ever want to do. I mean, I've done these things in every organization I've been in, and they take hours to do, and you wordsmith for hours, and it just becomes so frustrating to me, and oftentimes not resulting in any substantial change. So I would have been fine going through my tenure here without even talking about this, but because of these 2 conversations this past summer, I'm putting it in front of you now. It's something I'm thinking much about. The one in Wegmans, it was Landon and I on a Saturday. And I've learned that the time to go into Wegmans is on Saturday afternoon for me. Because quite frankly, there's so many people in there, I sort of get lost in the shuffle. And going with her, if people notice us, they go right to her and they don't even recognize me. So it's been fun. So that's when we go on to do some grocery shopping on Saturday afternoons. This particular Saturday afternoon, a community member came up and she had some visitors from another locality with her who had heard about our work. And they came up to me and they said, "We're excited about what's happening in Ithaca. We're excited about you. We're excited about what's happening. Your vision is exciting. We appreciate it. Can you now please tell my friend what you're thinking about? What's your vision?" And like the teacher I am, how about you tell them my vision? And when I said that to her, her face changed. And she said, "I don't know your vision, but I like it." And to me, I'm thinking that, we're talking about excellence, we're talking about moving work in ways that we haven't done before, unprecedented results, all these great things. And here I had a very